Let's see. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm going to get this started. Hang on just 1 second. Let me type you a quick message. There. Just want to make sure we are live and we are recording too. So everybody behave yourself. Let me just do a quick check on who's here so far. Hang on 1 second. Hey, Alyssa, good to see you. Good call today. Cindy, good to see you too. Good to get your message on workplace. David, good to see you, buddy. Excellent call today. Chris Keller, good to see you from the Berg. I'm actually about an hour west of you right now in Beaver County. So good to see you. Those Yinzers got to stick together, right? Chris, good to see you, buddy. I hope Chris is doing okay. maybe do an update on workplace if you don't mind, Chris. Let us know. Sam, good to see you all the way from beautiful Texas. Shirley, good to see you. Targan, good to see you too. All right. We probably will have a few more people getting on here. I think there were 30 something registrants. Greg, good to see you all the way from the 757. All right. Sorry, I gotta clear that frog out of my throat. Okay, we'll get started here in just a second, guys. In the meantime, if you could do me a favor, just type a little something in the box there, the chat box. And let's see. Hi, behave is no fun. Behaving is no fun. There you go. Thanks for the messages, guys. Looks like everybody is okay. So let's do this. I'm going to open you guys up here. I'm going to promote you to panelist. That way we can all have our videos going. Let's see, David, you're next. This is just going to take another couple of seconds to get this going, guys, so bear with me while we do this. Promote. Let's see, Chris. Promote. Greg, good to see you, buddy. Sam, promote. So everybody's getting a promotion. How about that? It's the first business day of the year, and every one of you are getting a promotion. Can't get that everywhere in America. Let's see, Targan, promote. I think that is everybody. So cool. All right. A couple of things. Some of you, most of you are team members. And we got one or two traditional students and guests. So welcome aboard. Leading up to the end of the year, there was a couple of webinars we did in a row that had to do with doing your vision exercise, setting your goals, and then I gave you the actions exercise to do on your own and the planning to start. And I thought we would go into how we actually do planning tonight. I'm not going to go into each of us, do our own plans, things like that at that level of detail. That generally is done in a one-on-one. So if you've done your vision statement and you've done your goals exercise, you create a goals database. You've done your actions database, which is like a brain dump on actions, and ready to plan. I'm going to show you how we pull it together tonight. What I want you to do is do it on your own, but set up a call with me, set up a one-on-one using the link. Here, I'll put that in there. Hang on 1 second. Some of you, we haven't had a call for a while, so let me go grab that link real quick. And I'll put it in the chat box. Strategy, let's see. Set up strategy call. There it is. Okay. So let me grab this. I'll type it in there for you. And we'll get back to the webinar here in a second. Copy. Reduce that, and paste. So I think, Greg, you have it. Chris, I'm not sure if you have this, Chris Keller. You probably do, but it might be buried in emails going back to last year now. So, hey, Chris, by the way, how's the team going?
Pretty good. I'm working on bringing on a seller's agent with 5 years of experience. I have a
Okay,
buyer's agent already on board who's brand new that I'm developing. I have
okay,
another girl who's going through licensing exams right now,
very
and
good.
I've recruited like 14 to my profit share, so I'm pretty excited about my prospects out there if these ones don't make it.
Nice. Good job. All right. Hey, Shirley, I see you got a feline critter on your shoulder there. Good. I got one running around here too. She's playing with the wrapping, Christmas paper wrapping right now. So, in any case, so back to this. Uh, let's do a real quick poll here. Um, raise your hand, or just do a hand raise on the computer, or just say yes if you've done your vision exercise. I know, Alyssa. We spoke earlier today, so okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. All right. Hey, Greg, if you don't have that, if it doesn't sound familiar, um, I'll send it. I'll send you an email with the instructions. Let me write this down, Greg. Hang on one second. Um,
Yeah, I don't have that, so you can send it to me, but I have done my business plan for 2021. So,
okay, excellent. All right, this is what this process is. It's goes a little bit deeper. Um, it's more about your vision for yourself, and then we do goal setting and planning and all that. And business is certainly part of that. But what it does is it ties it all together, so you have what we call alignment. So anything you do will absolutely be in alignment with your vision, and your business is part of your vision, obviously, you know. But maybe there's things you want to accomplish, like for me personally, years ago, I couldn't figure out how can I leverage what I'm doing to really be of good service to others, you know, use it as a form of ministry. And I'm a little bit slow, but after about 25 years, I think I figured it out. So this will help you do that in a big way. I do it every year. I've been doing it for over 20 years now, and wouldn't live without it. In fact, I used to joke. I used to say I'd pay $1 million for that right now. I tell you right now, I'd pay $10 million for it, from what I know, what I learned. So, in any case, that's the first thing. Then you create the goals database, which is what goals do you need to have to make that vision come true. The actions are what actions need to be taken to achieve the goals, right? And the plan is what makes it all happen. So I'll give you an analogy. If I took a puzzle box, you know, like a puzzle, 1,000 piece puzzle of a Christmas scene, Christmas tree, snow in the background, the whole 9 yards, and I just dumped the puzzle pieces in front of you, but didn't let you see the box cover to put it off to the side, so you couldn't see what you were putting together. That's how a lot of people go through life. They don't have that big vision in front of them at all times, driving them forward. But if I put the puzzle box cover in front of you, you can see clearly what you're putting together, and you still have challenges, right? Life's full of challenges, but it lets you achieve that vision a lot more quickly, easily, and more successfully. So that's the big picture. Also tonight, I'm going to go over 2 new websites I discovered recently for determining rents in any area based on government statistics. Another one, demographics database, where you can really dig in and learn statistically about your marketplace, the demographics of your marketplace. Um, and we'll do an example. We'll do an example of both of those. I just went over that with David Edwards today. I've gone over it with a few other people, and I can't remember all their names, but in the last couple of weeks, I mean, I'm using it, it seems like almost every day. Awesome stuff. Everybody should use it, whether you're working with owner occupants or investors. Even if you're not on a team, you should be using these 2 websites. They're not mine. I didn't create them. I just found them. So we'll go over that. So what I want to do is this. If you could, does everybody have a pen or pencil, something to write with and something to write on? And this is being recorded too. So if if you would just want to take high level notes, that would be a good idea. And then you have the recording to go back and fill in the gaps. Um, by the way, I should mention this just in case. Beverly will send out an email tomorrow with a recap of this session. So you'll get that. And she'll put in there any updates, scheduling changes, scheduling updates, things like that. And we have some pretty big things coming up. So on the team, we're developing property management, and that meeting is going to be Wednesday night. Actually, you know what? Greg just stepped away, and Greg needs to hear that. because he wants to be part of that project. And I think Shirley, you're going to be part of that. Is that right? Or you want to at least look into it
For what?
for property management?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Because I know that was actually goes back to when we were talking to the folks up in ownership group for there. Yeah. And I was dealing with the people in where was that? Louisville, Kentucky. That was a year and a half ago. Holy smokes. I think. Boy. Um, and Susan, why can't I see Susan? Susan, hang on one second here. I know that there's more people sign on. Okay, so
She wants to be part of property management too, Gary.
who does?
Susan.
Susan does, yeah. So I'm gonna promote them to panelists. So Andrew DeLong, good to see you, buddy. Let's see, here's Bill. Okay, so Bill Gilmore, it's the January 4th, I just gave you a promotion. So you're now, let's see, Tom Silvestri. How you doing, Tom? I think you are the last of the Mohicans there. There we go. Okay, so property management, we're going to be kicking off Wednesday night. So Greg, I don't know if you want to be part of that meeting. We got 9 people on the team that want to kick it off. So we're developing it in our network across the country. And I know we're not going into a lot of detail on this webinar. You're short in that, trying to figure out where you're going, but maybe being part of it might be a good thing, Greg. In fact, I'll send you that link too. PM link. It's taken on a life of its own. It's going to be a pretty big project. So, in any case, look out for that announcement. There'll be, I think, 10 people in that meeting on Wednesday that I'm aware of. I know there's one more in North Carolina that's looking to join the team, and another potential couple others that are. A lot of people are serious about property management, and they're looking at joining to be able to be part of that project. So, in any case, let me get into the planning part, okay? And then I'm going to go into those 2 websites when we have some time left. So if you look at what I'm holding up here, this is my good old-fashioned Franklin Covey Daily Planner. Been using it for 31 years, right? And most of you know me, have seen me carry this thing with me everywhere I go. Even when I go to the beach, this thing is with me on the beach, okay? So here's how this works. Assuming you've done the vision exercise number 1, the goals exercise number 2, and the actions exercise number 3, you have what we need to do an effective plan. And here's how we do it. We first go back to the goals database that you created, okay? And a goals database is simply a list of goals that you would achieve on the way to realizing your vision statement, okay? The challenge is you generally have a lot of goals that just came out. When you're going through that process, it's like a brain dump, and they're in random order. They're not organized, they're not structured, they're not prioritized, not even categorized. So here's how you first categorize this. We're going to take your goals database. We're going to categorize it. That's what we're going to do right now. You don't have to physically do this right now if you don't have it, but I want you to just write down the instructions, okay? You're going to have 3 categories of goals, okay? The now goals, things you're working on now already, or you've realized you should be working on now. That's category number 1, the now goals. They're going to have the 1-year goals. That's what you want to accomplish in this next year, by this December 31st, excuse me, okay? And everything else is going to be category 3. They're not going away. You're not deleting them. It's not that they're not important. It's just they're not necessary right now, okay? So what you do is we call that putting them to sleep. Imagine you got a stovetop with burners. You're putting the everything else goes on the back burners. Things like you want to learn a foreign language. You want to learn how to cook, how to bake, how to sing, how to play the piano, things like that, okay? That are important to you. But maybe there's things right now that are more critical, mission critical. So what we'll do for the exercise is take one of your 1-year goals, and we're going to show you how to work that thing backwards, okay? So first step is you categorize them, all right? Now goals, 1-year goals, everything else goals. So you're going to take not a now goal, but a 1-year goal. Now, you may discover, but by the end of this process, There's no way you're going to get all your 1-year goals done. Perfectly normal, natural. Don't let it defeat you or get upset. It's just the way it is. So the ones you think, that you need to do or want to do or can do in a year, you make those your primary focus. Everything else you put back in that other category. So the other category is going to be your biggest category. Then you have the 1-year goals and the now goals, which will survive. Everybody with me so far? Okay. All right. If you think of it as a 1-year goal, and it could be, by the way, it could end up being a 15-month goal or a 6-month goal. We're just going to assume for the sake of the exercise, it's a 1-year goal. Like buying you've invested in a duplex, or maybe you flipped a home and you're ready to move up in the second tier of investing. Let's say that's a 10-unit building. So whoever wants to, if anybody here wants to own 10-unit building, just raise your hand. If you want a 10-unit building, bring it in cash flow. Yep, who wouldn't? Anybody would. So would you agree buying a 10-unit building is probably a lot more involved than buying a simple duplex? Well, it probably is. All right. And I've, as you go up 30 units, 50 units, 100 units, it gets even more complex. It's not that the math is any more difficult. It's just there's more to be done. When you buy a 100-unit building, you generally have environmental studies. You might have a protected species study. You might have a wetland study. All these things you need to do. You might have contracts on the property, a laundry contract, a lawn care contract, a pest control contract. And those contracts may have lienable clauses in there, which means if the property ownership transfers hands, the laundry contract goes with the property. It survives the transfer of title. Well, if you don't know that and you buy this property, or you hope your client buy the property, and they find out they got this laundry contract that they don't want, it's too late. So what I'm getting at is bigger buildings are more complex. There's more steps involved. But the math is always the same. The math doesn't lie. The math doesn't change. The math is like a natural law. Okay. So let's just say again, 10-unit building. The final step you take in a 10-unit building is the actual settlement, which you sign all the closing documents, you get the keys, the proud owner of a 10-unit building. So what I want you to do is, for the sake of the exercise, just write on your notes, day 365 equals settlement and get keys. That's the final action you take to take ownership of that property. All right. Sign a settlement sheet, sign all the closing docs, get your keys, and you're now a proud owner of a 10-unit building. All right. And you're going to make a lot of money, and you're going to use it to buy more properties. Everybody going to buy more properties with their profits and cash flow? Who's going to buy a car? You know why you're going to buy a new car? Okay. Sure. Yeah. So in any case, what's funny is, just a quick side note here. I've actually seen more people go further and build more wealth and income with rentals than I ever have with flips. Nothing wrong with flips, but I've seen more people take money from flips and buy boats and cars and things like that, and not buy more properties. So in any case, so that's day 365. Now, in order to do that on day 365, to sign the settlement sheet and get the keys to the car, yeah, Cindy's saying she needs a car. What would you have to do on day 364 to be able to close on the property on day 365? What are some of the things that would happen? Just shout them out.
Have the cash to close.
That's it. Yep. Make sure your banker's going to show up. Make sure you got the rest of your down payment available and ready to go. All kinds of moving parts. So what we're doing is we're actually moving backwards all the way to day one. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give you the short version, which is this. All right. Any year has 4 quarters. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the big giant goal of owning a 10-unit building and break it into 4 key objectives. Some people call these the big rocks. So go ahead and write that down. 4 key objectives / big rocks. 1 per quarter, right? 3 months per quarter. Okay. Now, what are some of the big rocks in buying a 10-unit building? What are some of the key objectives? Well, I would think one of them will be, first off, determine what your current situation is. What's your net worth? What's your cash flow? What's your credit score? How much you're able to borrow? That would be pretty important, right? How much are you able to borrow? Do you need to partner with somebody? Do you need to borrow money for the down payment temporarily from a 401k? So all that financial stuff, would you agree that would be a major big rock on the way to buying a tenant building? Yep. Okay. Now another major big rock would be once you understand your ammunition, which is your finances, understand what you want to buy and the where part. So in other words, you need to do some research on the market areas, and we'll go into a couple tools here in a minute. I'm going to show you some really cool research tools. But for me, what I would do is I'd say, okay, I can borrow $1 million. I got $200,000 I can put down. I'm definitely going to buy whatever 40-unit building, for example. Well, as you might imagine, 40-unit buildings don't exist everywhere. Okay, they're in certain parts of town. They're not in other parts of town. So back in good old Pittsburgh, where Chris and I are from, we know if we head east of the city, right, Pittsburgh east going out to Monroeville, we can find a number of properties that are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 units. There's some for sale right now, Chris, because I've been looking at them. Any case, but you wouldn't find them necessarily going up into Wexford and Cranberry, right? You wouldn't find 40-unit apartment buildings. I mean, you might, but it's going to be very rare. So you want to determine what your geographic areas you're going to target and do research on that area. And we're going to show you that a little bit here once we're done with this part. So that's the big rock number two. There's the where, right, and the what. Now that you've identified that, you've got to actually go find some 10-unit buildings in this example. So big rock number three is identify as many 10-unit buildings as you can and do some legwork on those. Do some desktop research, all right? Get them under contract. You got to go from identifying properties, get them under contract, and that will be your third big rock. Fourth big rock is go through all the due diligence, right? Inspections, appraisals, securing your financing. That's the fourth big rock. So you've now got your four big rocks, and you plot those in there, one big rock per quarter, okay? And I'm going to give you the big version. You'll be able to fill in the gaps on your own. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put the second, third, and fourth quarters, second, third, and fourth big rocks, we're putting them on the back burner. And here's why. Does it even make sense for us to go out there looking at a bunch of properties if we don't even know what our financial situation is? Does not make sense. It drives everybody crazy. So let's put those three asleep and let's focus on quarter number one. All right, big rock number one. Big rock number one has 3 months in it. Each quarter has 3 months. You're going to break that down into three parts, one big rock into three smaller rocks. Okay, these are not minor, but they're medium-sized objectives. So one of them might be figure out where all can you pull cash from. Maybe you've already got 5 properties that you built up equity in, and you can get a commercial line of credit or a blanket mortgage on those 5 existing properties. That may be one option for you. So determining your current financial situation would be month number one, and figuring out where are you going to get your money from. Okay. The second month in that first big rock, the second medium-sized rock would be working with a lender to figure out, what can you borrow, right? Now, let me give you a quick little tip here. I learned a long time ago, guys, to not work with the big giant banks. Don't work with Wells Fargo, Bank of America. I know this is being recorded. Please forgive me if I'm going to get in trouble, but you're way better off working with community banks, local community banks that are doing commercial lending and conventional lending. Okay, it's going to be better for you, better for your investors, hands down, all the way around. 35 years experience tells me I don't even talk to PNC Bank anymore. I used to work for them 18 years, the mergers and acquisitions. Chris, would you agree? I wouldn't get a loan from them if they're the last bank on the planet. Look at her. Absolutely. Yep. But would you go to like Allegheny Valley Bank or Common First? Absolutely. There you go. Right. Small community-sized bank. So Greg, down in the 757, I know Monarch Bank's gotten pretty big over the years, but I would still work with them, You're muted on your end there, Greg. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was trying to unmute. Yeah, they are Monarch and Town Bank.
Yep, Town Bank, another good one.
There's another good one.
I used to the guy that runs Town Bank now. I went to school with him.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Yes.
So, in any case, so that will be the second one. And third one might be, let's say at the end of the day, you decide you do need a partner. You need partners or something like that. You've got to actually go through the effort to locate partners. And it's not like you just go to the country club and start talking to people. You've got to have a game plan in place, you know, with like a presentation, a PowerPoint, things like that. You got to show people your track record, even family and friends. I personally don't, I don't do joint ventures and partnerships with families and friends. I built more friendships from business, by the way, I ever got business from friends. I would do partners with those guys, absolutely. But in any case, let's say that's your first quarter, 3 medium-sized rocks. Now the first one is, there is 1 month and it's got 4 weeks. So now break that down in to 4 little rocks, right? Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, all right? And then what you do is you put week 2, 3, and 4 on the back burner, put them to sleep, and focus on week number 1. Week number 1 might be, go ahead and sign up for Equifax, Experian, and what's the third one? I can't remember.
TransUnion.
TransUnion, thank you very much. Sign up for them, get your free reports, get your FICO score, and maybe you got to dispute a few things. Believe me, you'd be shocked at the stuff that'll pop up on a credit report. One time I had an electric bill, $15 electric bill. I never had any clue that I had. It was one of my rental properties, never saw it, don't recall it, nothing. But lo and behold, they spanked me on my credit report for $15. Okay. And we disputed it and got it taken care of. So always want to do that. Keep your record clean and be on top of it, by the way. So in any case, that might be week number 1. And as you might imagine, week number 1 has 7 days. Now, what I like to do is make 5 of those days that I plan out for business purposes, Monday through Friday. Sunday is a day of rest for me. I don't do much on Sundays other than have time with my family and friends and loved ones, right? And some other activities I engage in. And then on Saturday, I might do a half a day of work, but maybe it's not like maybe it's working on the business. Maybe I'm going to look at properties myself, things like that. Which is what I did on Saturday, in fact. So, and then the other half of the day, we'll do something fun. You go to dinner, go out, do for a hike, do something like that. But back to the 5 days, Monday through Friday, I'm all business. You ask anybody that knows me, they'll tell you it's like I go into some kind of a zone, and that's just where I live for 5 days, right? And I'll get up at 5 in the morning, and I'll go till 10 at night. And when my head hits the pillow, I'm out like that. But one of the reasons I'm able to do that is this plan. Okay, so this is today. All right, so let me just make sure everybody sees that. It's my Franklin Planner 1-day view. All right, everything up here, from here to about here, is all in pen because it doesn't change every day. It's prayer, meditation, exercise, time with my family, right? Always communicate. Teaching, learning. I spend time every day learning, planning, journaling. I have a category that says forgiveness. Got to forgive myself and forgive other people too. Gratitude every day. Write a gratitude journal. All these things I do, I don't even turn on the world until 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay. I might go in at 8 o'clock and start to get ready, but nobody knows I'm alive until 9 in the morning. Okay. I don't even start my calls till 10. And that goes until about 5. And you can see that over here. This big gap in here with the big X. Guess what that is? Prospecting. Yep, 2 hours straight, flat out straight. So when I get done at the end of the day, I'm pretty good shape, right? So that's the daily view. Now here's how this works. Every month in the middle of the month, usually the middle, second or third weekend, I put in the next month's days and handwrite in all the things I do every single day that's in pen. And it's usually about 4, 8, 12, 16, 18 items I do every single day, right? The other items are in pencil because if you've been around long enough, you realize you could have the best plan in the world, but you'll wake up and you'll have a flat tire, somebody's sick, there's a big snowstorm, hurricane, or just quite simply, God throws you another challenge, and you got to deal with it. So another reason I have this time in here like this is I have two free time blocks every single day, and this is what I want you to write down. I do one in the morning, and it's a free block, which means I could absorb emails and phone calls and text messages and things like that and process them, okay, and not have it disrupt the rest of my day. I do the same thing in the afternoon, one more hour. Of the 2 hours there, one of them I keep open for absorbing emails, phone calls, or if I'm outbound prospecting, texting, phone calls, things like that, and somebody's there, I can have a conversation and it won't mess up my day, right? And then nighttime, if I'm not doing a webinar like tonight, you know, I'll read, I'll study, I'll just enjoy myself, have fun, okay? Um, but that's, so one of the key features is count on you having challenges in every single day and account for that in your planning, because if you do, it allows you to still accomplish everything you want to accomplish and absorb the things you didn't plan on. All right. And as you go through your day, before I'm done today, I'm going to check off all these boxes. Now you should check them off as you go along. So like, for example, here's an example. So on Sunday, the 27th, everything in pen is automatic. Everything in pencil, right? Oops, sorry. I checked off as I did it. Why would you check these things off as you go along? Who can give me a reason for that? Why would you check stuff off as you went along?
It makes you feel really good and it helps you focus on what's left.
Yes. It gives your mind positive feedback that says you're successful, you're a winner, and you're achieving your goals. Every little teeny action is a goal, okay? Every teeny action is a goal. And you tell yourself, if you positive feedback, it's called a feedback loop. That's what it's called. And I'm not a psychologist. I'm just telling you, I've read 3,000 books at least, and I know why this stuff works. I can't tell you all the how behind the scenes. I leave it up to God. I just thank God every day. My heart's beating, my lungs are working, and my brain's working, and everything else I've studied. And I can tell you, feedback loops work. So, in any case, as you might imagine, in my earlier days when I was in my 30s, I would try to basically plot out every single hour of every day. And as you might imagine, I didn't ever achieve everything every day, and I beat myself up. That was negative feedback. Told myself I can never accomplish everything. I must really stink. So when I learned this little technique, it changed everything. I actually get a lot more done now, and I feel positive about it. And in the occasional thing I don't get done, I always make sure I got a plan for the next day or the following week. So in any case, now let's say we've done that with the 10-unit building. We've gone all the way back, right? And we realize we've got a lot more details to handle, a lot more action items to take care of, and it will likely take longer than a year. Well, then we work the plan forward, and maybe it turns out it's 14 months instead of 12 months, okay? So we work the plan forward, and then one more time we go backwards just to make sure it's a clean and solid plan. And if the plan is flexible enough, you'll have some things that take less time than you think, and some things take more time than you think. But what I want you guys to do is this. Make a commitment to yourself and to me, and I want you to write this down and type it in and send an email to me, and commit to taking one of your goals for 2021 and plotting it out backwards and forwards and backwards again, okay? And then hold me accountable by setting up a one-on-one with me and let me walk you through and help you. Some of my students on the team, we meet regularly, weekly, sometimes daily. And I can tell you from a lot of experience, the agents that engage more fully get more done, not because of me, but they give me the opportunity to help them stay on track and see, let's make this adjustment here, let's make the adjustment there, let's change things, whatever has to happen. But if you don't communicate and engage, I won't know. And maybe you're out there on your own, maybe you're doing great, maybe you're not, I don't know, because you don't communicate. So make sure you communicate. I'm not in production. This is all I do. 100% of my time. This is all I do. And we've got a lot of great success. I mean, this just our toot our horn, okay? So I launched the team that I'm talking about back in June. By end of October, we reached the top 10. We cracked the top 10 as far as teams go. In November, late November, I was told that our team has more agents in more states than any other team. We're number one as far as across the countries. We're in 18 states now, maybe 19. And the only reason that's possible is because I had the vision early in the year, actually before that. I figured out what were the goals, what were the actions, and what were the plan, what's the plan, and I executed. Ended up executing much more quickly than I thought. But part of the reason is the original vision didn't just pop up this last year when I do my annual visual exercise. It was something that came up about 11 years ago. I'm sorry, maybe 12 years ago. Right here, Chris, Terrence Young? Okay, he used to be one of my brokers at Win Realty Advisors. He ended up going to work for Than Merrill Fortune Builders, and now he's coming back and joining the team. He's got a commercial lending business across the country now. He does the visualization practice, and he owns a building out there in East Liberty. We used to have our classes in, and in one of our brainstorming sessions, we plotted all this out. So David Evers, everything you're seeing now goes back to a whiteboard, basically a vision exercise. Some people call it brainstorming. Plotted it out, and he took a picture of it, and we spoke for the first time in like 5 years, 2 months ago. He still had the picture and sent it to me. And everything we're doing now is spot on, exactly the way we designed it all those years ago. All I did is it went asleep until certain things were put in place along the years. And here we are now. We've got 31 investor groups around the country now. We got over 2,500 investors. That's all just in the last couple of months. And all that education, how to flip homes, how to buy rentals, doing commercial, that's all now being rolled out through that network. That's the big vision. 11 years in the making, and execution has been exactly now. That's 7 months we've been executing, and we've gotten this far so far. That's why we do this process. What I want for you is, and I can't even emphasize how much this is important to me for you to do this, is for you to do it for yourself. What I know, what I feel doesn't matter. What matters is what you know, what you feel, and what you want. You just got to reach your hand up and ask for help to do it. I did get where I'm by myself. I had lots of help. Greg Covington's probably known me the longest on here, followed by Susan Murray, and he'll probably tell you, I'm about as regular as you can possibly get. But one thing I am is I'm persistent. Greg, would you agree I'm persistent? Yeah, I just don't give up. Stuff's going to happen. I tell you, I expect it now. I wish I could remember this guy's name's. He has a Greek name, Nicholas. He's the guy. He has one arm with one hand. He has no legs and no feet. One arm with one hand. And he came to speak to my mastermind group 2 years ago. Go Bunnets. And I got to sit next to him out in the audience. I didn't know who he was until he got up to speak. Came back and sat down. I ended up having him speak at one of my 3-day events. And I'm sitting there, thinking, okay, what can I ask this guy? And he told a story when he was a kid, grew up in California. His parents forced him to learn how to feed. I'm sorry, he had no arms. He had one hand, one leg, and one foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Learned to feed himself, brush his teeth, wash his face, and shave with his one foot.
Yep.
And his parents made him do it on his own because they said, if you can't do it now when you're 5 or 6 years old, you're going to struggle like hell when you're an adult. Because when you're an adult, people aren't just going to come here and help you pick you up out of bed and wash you off and stuff. So he told me, he said his dad told him, he said, I'm going to teach you to learn to expect difficulty, learn to expect trouble. And when you do, what it does is it diffuses the power behind that difficulty. It doesn't have control over you. You have control over it. You learn to expect it. Okay. And you're prepared for it. There's 5 stages of when you address a problem. The first stage is taken care of. The acceptance phase. You've already just expect the fact that you're going to have trouble. I'll never forget that lesson. And so when I go about executing a plan, I make it as thoroughly detailed as I possibly can, down to the nth degree. That global investor group I told you about that we launched the week before Thanksgiving, I wasn't going to do it this year. Actually, it was David Evers that convinced me to do it back in June. Matter of fact, he took him 3 tries to say, I think you should do this now. You remember that, David? Yep. And we started working on it back in July. I took the team, Beverly, Jody, all the internal team, started working on it then. And we didn't really go live with the discussion with the group till I think September. 2 months later, we launched it. Okay. In October, in November. Yeah. So in any case, if you ever wonder how it is that, you know, people who you respect and admire and, you know, have achieved great things like, whether it's relationships, business, whatever, you know, I mean, Michael Jordan, you know, Jack Canfield, you know, Dave Ramsey, all those guys, Oprah, every one of them, you know, look at Oprah. You guys read Oprah's story, you know, how she started out, you know, there's no reason to believe she would ever be doing what she's doing now, you know, but did she ever let the naysayers detract her and deter her? No, she kept going. She was persistent and she had a plan. She knew what she was going to do. She'll tell you. Okay. Michael Jordan said, there was a great interview on Michael Jordan, and they showed a video clip of him playing his last 3 minutes of his last game. And most guys would take it easy and everybody be patting each other on the back and shaking hands and, you know, letting him get the ball every now and then. He had none of that stuff. There was one errant pass that went, the ball went back behind the back half of the court. The other teammates, 3 of them on the other team, were running back to get the ball. He went from behind, outran all 3 of them, ran and jumped up and snatched this ball out of the air, got down, threw it back to the other end of the court. And the other guy he gave it to went up and got a basket out of it. And I just remember watching. If you watch the replay, guys, just watch the replay. Just Google Michael Jordan's last 3 minutes. And don't look at him because everybody's going to be focused on him, which is what happened in that game. Everybody on that court, nobody was watching anything else but Michael Jordan. He was literally playing all by himself. You know, that's what it looked like. And he went out and he had the interview and he said, you know what? I practice today just like I practice every other day of my life. And he said, I got kicked off my high school basketball team. And he said, I want to make sure I never happen again. So he practiced the fundamentals every single day. Never, ever gave up, never quit. And anything I'm telling you here on this planning and goal setting and stuff, it's not rocket science. It's just a matter of application. You got to really want it bad enough and do it. So when you create that vision statement, that's what anchors you to it. That's what gives you the pull, the drive to keep going when things don't go right. That's why we do it. Okay. Does that make sense, guys? Everybody okay? Anybody feeling like energy level 1, energy level 10? Where are you right now?
It sounds great. I still don't really know how to pull it off.
Set up a one-on-one, Susan. Okay.
Yep.
Yep. And in fact, if you want to, set up 2 of them.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can keep the ball rolling. All right. What I want to do now, guys, we've got about 15 minutes left. I want to show you something I discovered a couple of weeks back. Oh, let's say, hey, hang on one second, guys. Looks like Betty's on. Let's see. Oh, and Winnie. Hey, Winnie, how you doing? Winnie, I'm going to promote you, and Betty, I'm going to promote you too.
I was going to say, if you haven't watched The Last Dance on Netflix, then you should. It's the story of Michael Jordan. It's pretty amazing. I'm not even a sports guy, and I was.
One good thing I can say about Mike. Yeah, it's very, very, very inspirational.
Very inspirational. A lot of very just deep life lessons in persistence and faith and just everything. Very good.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%.
Yep. Okay, so let me do this. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. And let me go to my email. So here's the first thing I want to show you as far as research tools go. Okay. This is an awesome website from our Housing and Urban Development Department in the government. So, whoops, hang on, I didn't do that right. Let me start again here. Hang on one second. There we go. Okay, can you guys see my screen okay? It says fair market rents. Okay.
And I will note that in an interview the other day,
All right. So if you click on any one of these years, let's just keep it at 2021, and then click here for FY 2021. FMR stands for fair market rent. Okay. So let's take so Susan Murray, let's take Lynchburg. So we're going to go select Virginia first. Okay. Select Virginia. And I don't think Lynchburg is going to be a major MSA.
You know, the people of Georgia thought this was a scam.
Yeah, Lynchburg's not going to be in there. So let's go do
A lot of Republicans are going to vote negative.
Norfolk.
statewide FMRs.
Do
Let's see if we
Norfolk.
can find Lynchburg in there. Whoops. Here's Lynchburg. Okay, so let's click on Lynchburg. So Susan, right now we can see, according to the federal government, what we believe are average rents for the area. Efficiency 633, 1 bedroom 660, 2 bedroom 784, 3 bedroom 1053, 4 bedroom 1241. Here's how I like to use this. In and of itself, this data really doesn't mean a whole lot other than that's what the average rents are. But they're looking to invest in the area or work with an investor, and they're new and they're saying, okay, what kind of units should I be buying right now? What's going to get the best rent per square foot and what's the most demand? Well, this helps us determine that. So for example, between efficiency and 1 bedroom, the difference is only $27, right? So look between 1 and 2 bedroom, the difference is $124. Then look between 2 and 3 bedroom, the difference is almost $300.
$100.
Yep. And then the 4 bedroom, it's only less than 200. So the biggest gap is between
More than
2
300.
bedrooms, which tells us what? 3 bedroom units is what we want, right?
3 bedrooms.
There you go. So I'm not saying don't rent these other ones. What I'm saying is if you have a choice in the matter, 3 bedrooms is probably going to be a lot of single family homes and duplexes and up and downs where you got 1 bedroom downstairs, a unit, and a 3 bedroom unit, second and third floor, right? Things like that. So you can drill down. We just went to that city within the state, but let's go to the county. Well, actually, you know what, like Greg, let's do this. Let's go to Hampton, see what Hampton says. Maybe we gotta look at Newport News. Why isn't Hampton up here?
I'm not sure. You might want to check Newport. Actually, I think Hampton and Newport News fall under Norfolk.
You know, what's the county? What county is that in, Greg?
Who, Hampton?
Yeah, Hampton or Newport News.
Hampton doesn't have a county. That's
That's
just-
right. Same thing as Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
Well, let's do that. Let's go to the county then.
You go down and say Virginia Beach, Norfolk.
Yep. Hang on 1 second. I think I just saw, there's Hampton City. There we go.
Yeah, right there.
Yep. So look at that. Great. Those gone up since I've been there.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've gone up a lot. Look at the 3 bedroom.
3, yeah, that's about
Holy
right.
smokes.
Yeah, my average 3 bedroom house I'm renting for 15 at 1,700.
Okay. All right. So everybody, make sure I'm going to have Beverly send this out tomorrow in an email. She'll give you this link here. It's huduser.gov/portal/datasets. And you can go to FMR and get your FMR for your area. And it's pretty accurate, pretty clean data, you know. So Dave and I looked at it today for down in the VAR. All right, that's one. Now let me show you the other one here. This is called Data USA. All right, and I'm going to go back to. Actually, you know what? I'm going to keep that in there. Hang on 1 second. If it'll let me. Bring these back up here.
Georgia's Republican chairs.
I think we lost a lot of people's screens. Oops. Oh, hang on 1 second. Let me try a profile. Oh, didn't like that either. Okay, let's go. There we go. So let's type in, let's see, who else do we have here? Let me go back to participants. Oops. Bill, Bill, how about if we do Stewart? Are you still around the Stewart area? Oops. Let's see if Bill's still there.
I'm there.
Oh, there you
I'm
are.
here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep. So let's do Stewart, Florida.
Oh, I don't have my camera turned on. Sorry.
That's okay. So you got two Republican senators. There you go. We can see the population in Stewart, medium household income, medium property value. It's actually a pretty good ratio. Number of employees, poverty rate 13.8%. So that's a little bit above, about 40% above the national average right now.
In Stewart?
Yeah, 13.8%.
Oh, okay. You got to look at Martin County as a whole.
Let's do that then. Let me go back here real quick. Let's do Martin County.
Well, I find it hard to believe there's 13%, but I agree, or I believe you.
Martin County, Florida. There we go. And Marco and Rick are still. Bill, I just sent them both an email a couple of days ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Good.
Again, they both responded. So, in any case, there you go. That's more like it. 10.5%. Okay. And there's your median. Now that makes more sense. That looks more like.
Yeah, Stewart. There's just a pocket in Stewart itself. The rest of the county, you don't have anything.
Right. So here's why I like this. If we go down in here, let me show you some key features, and you can play around this with those on your own. It's an amazing tool. You get all the demographics, social graphics. But if you go down further, you get to the economy. Okay. So we know the average income is 58,000, roughly speaking. Goes up about 4.25% a year. So that's pretty good. All right. And let's go down to income by location to give you the census tracts in graphic format. But here's where stuff gets really good. Employment by occupation. Okay. So sales related occupations, 12.4%. Office administrative support, 11.3%. Let me scroll down just a wee little bit further here. All right. Management occupations, 10.8%. If you look at some of these others, like material moving, construction, education, they're all around 5%. So the three biggest ones are basically, management professional type positions. Okay. So the reason this was important is I like owning a lot of rentals. And I learned a long time ago, if I buy the cheap, crappy properties, I'm going to have a hard time of it. I'm going to get a lot of gray hair, like Zillow's gray hair. That's all tenant storage. But what I recognize is the folks who are in professional positions, like professionals, business owners, dentists, engineers, people like that, generally we're buying better properties. So I realized I want to shift what I'm doing to buy better properties, because I recognize when they're buying better properties, at the beginning, their capital outlay was more and the cash flow was less. But would you say that ratio of capital outlay and income being low, did that stay the same, or did that change during the life of ownership? It changed. The rents went up more, okay? And the costs were relatively fixed. So over time, their net worth was increased more, and so as well as their income. And demographics will bear that out, okay? So I started studying the marketplace and looking to see, so Chris, if you're still on, Chris Keller, out in New Brighton, we looked at a property the other day. New Brighton has a 20% poverty rate, and yet the most jobs are in the medical field. People are making good money in the medical field, all right? Turns out there's a facility going to be opened up there soon for rehab, hopefully soon. So in any case, I thought to myself, well, that's not such a bad thing. There's a certain need for those better, in this case, 2-bedroom units. We did the rent, we looked up the rent, excuse me, and realized the biggest gap was between 1-bedrooms and 2-bedrooms. We realized they need more 2-bedroom units, okay? And we would get much more rent per square foot by renting 2-bedroom units. and we'd have an easier time of it because we can rent to these nurses and physical therapists and things like that. They need a place to live, right? Other than that, it's a lot of low-end rentals out there. So this is how we use this information. We determine where are the good areas for rentals, the kind of rentals that we want, okay, and what the greatest need is. And that's what demographics does for us. So now we know the rents, and we know the demographics, we know what the employment is. We know let's see, we got here, unemployment grew to, it looks like that's 1.49. Yeah, it grew at a rate from okay. So 64,000 employees to 65,000 employees. Is a growth rate of 1.49%. That's not too shabby. So if it was me, and I know the area because my college roommate Socrates lives there. Socrates is who I bought my first property with, and his dad was a Greek immigrant that taught us how to invest. Well, he lives in Port St. Lucie, right? So as you might imagine, I've been down there quite a bit over the last 20 or 30 years, and Soc's done quite well. Hey, Bill, you remember back in the late 2000s, right at the beginning of the recession, you could go out on the Intercoastal Waterway and look across and see those condo buildings with the big banners that said "Buy one, get one free." Do you ever remember seeing those? Yep.
Yeah.
They weren't talking about cars. They were talking about condos. Buy one, get one free. And we pick up a 3-bedroom oceanfront apartment for $200,000. It was crazy,
Not anymore.
Yeah, I know.
I agree to say that deal's still going.
Yeah,
More than double that now.
yeah, I know. I was there. Well, that would have been January a year ago, and the best I saw was about 315,000, and it wasn't such a pretty building either, for a 3-bedroom, but it was oceanfront. So, in any case, guys, I want to kind of wrap this up here, but I just want to give you these 2 tools. Beverly will send these out in the email tomorrow. But hopefully this will help you and help your clients make good decisions. And it just write one more thing down. I'll let you go. It's a matter of these 3 things. Number 1 is education. You've got to continually educate yourself. Number 2 is having the right information, and this helps us do that. These 2 websites. And number 3 is now take meaningful, targeted action. Right. So now you know what your target audience is. And in Bill's case, it's professionals in management. So when Bill, you do your marketing, speak that language, and that's your background. So that should be a natural for you, So it's called a marketing triangle: market, message, media. So the message needs to match the market, speak the language your market is going to respond to, and use the right medium to communicate with them. And medium would be, LinkedIn, Facebook, booklets, letters, whatever the medium is. But when you do your research first, and your message matches your market, and you know it does because you studied it, you're going to have much higher response rates, much higher conversion rates, and quite frankly, have a better, more productive business. Hey, does anybody have any questions? We got a few minutes left here. Anything at all, whether it's planning, these 2 websites here.
I have a question, Gary.
Yep.
When you had your penned in things that you do every day, do
Yep.
you have like a time frame that they all have to fit into?
Yeah. So for me, Susan, it's about 3 hours. Okay.
But each piece, do you have like, I have to cut this off at each piece?
It depends. Now, my morning prayers are the same every single morning, other than if somebody like in our team gets sick or something like that, I'll add special prayers for them. That's usually about a half hour. Meditating is about a half hour. Meditating, I don't try to quantify it. Sometimes it's 15 minutes, sometimes it's 45. I've gone to meditation sometimes for 2 hours, but usually it's about a half hour. So I try not to quantify that because it's not the amount of time I spend in that state. It's what's happening while I'm in that state, right? Usually what happens is the vision, here's how I describe it. Most people pray at some point. You have a crisis in life, you just turn to God, right? You start praying. Other people pray all the time, right? I just learned over the years, if I do that, things will generally be better off. I'm not the world, but the way I react to the world. So what I'm getting at is silent prayer, what most people call meditation, that's where you can listen. And it's like St. Francis said, silence is God's only voice. So definitely spend time actively praying for blessings on others and guidance and wisdom and all the things you need to pray for. But then quiet yourself down and listen. And that's where all the good stuff happens. I'm telling you, the whole thing about Healing House Foundation, that's been in sleeper mode for 25 years. It didn't come out until the Global Investor Group came out. And I realized, wait a second, that's the answer. Because I couldn't figure out, how am I going to buy all these houses all around the country, right? I mean, and give them to service without any profit. And I realized, wait a second, I don't have to be that person, but all these global investor groups around the country, each one of them can be responsible for one healing house. And that's what we're doing. And now the healing house finally has life. It all came about because that work I do in the morning, Susan, when I quiet myself and go into silent prayer, that's where that came out. I just made the connection, and wasn't gonna make the connection before because I didn't have David Edwards telling me 3 times over 3 weeks that we should do the Global Investor Group, get that going. Yay, Dave. So, but it's just a magic. And it's funny because St. Francis had another famous saying, and I know, Susan, I know you personally, I know you're a believer, but the saying is, for those who believe no words are necessary, for those who don't, no words are possible. So some people are listening and it's making perfect sense, and some people aren't, they're not getting it. And all I can say is just try it. I never heard anybody go in the emergency room because they pray too much. So you just keep asking and keep asking, and I can't tell you if you're going to get an answer today or tomorrow or the next day, but I'm telling you, we'll definitely get an answer. Sometimes you wake up and you realize you've been living the answer all along. You weren't aware of it. Okay, that's happened too. Sometimes it's flat out right in my lap type stuff, and sometimes it's not. It's just very, and I question. I'm like, I don't, I'm not getting any answers. And then 3 months later, I realized, wait a second, I've been living the answer the whole time.
Election of a Republican official works in the sector.
Susan, back to your question though. I would say take a day like a Saturday or Sunday and go through the process. If you have a one-on-one, I'll walk you through it. Okay. And then you can try it on your own. And it's just like anything else. You develop a habit out of doing it. It's a process. And the more you do it, the better you get. I mean, first time I tried, I questioned, I didn't even know what I was doing, quite frankly, and it took me years to really realize it was having an effect. It was working. We're just so caught up in our own little world. We want everything now. And what our vision is of, right, that we're capable of, it pales in comparison to what's really possible. 30 years ago, I'd have never imagined me setting up a network of 31 investor groups. Would never have occurred to me. But now I don't see that as a big thing, because in the last 30 years, I've done a lot of smaller things that led up to the bigger things, like one step at a time. So, hey guys, if you let me, I'll keep going all night long, but I love the question, Susan. Thank you very much. Yep.
I have another question.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Susan.
The local banks, is there just one branch generally, or they have maybe 2 or 3 within a community?
Yeah, you're going to be somewhere between 1 and typically 10 branches.
Yep.
Now, community bank could also be 20 branches. There's banks that have 20 branches, but they're absolutely sub-regional in size. They very rarely cross state lines. In fact, I've never seen one cross state lines. But the word community means something legally. In the world of banking, community, they can't have the word community in their name unless they meet certain requirements. And one of those requirements is community banking implies that the activity of banking, accepting deposits and making loans, occurs at the branch level. So each branch manager is responsible for his or her own loan portfolio. Okay. It may be managed from a office that's, maybe there's 5 offices and one office is the headquarters, and it's centralized, right? as far as the corporation goes, but as far as communication with the consumer, that's between the branch manager and the consumer directly. And that's one of the key features of a community bank. The loan is made at the branch level, okay? And they also are more likely to be conventional lenders. They don't do all the FHA stuff. They can, but they make conventional loans too. And more often than not, they have a small commercial division. They'll make investor loans, which is what I like, you know? So community banks, look for the word community in the bank, in the name of the bank, and you can go online and Google them. Oh, go to, here's one for you. Let me go back here. I'm going to find it first and I'll put it in the chat box. It's called banktracker.org / let me see if I can find it this way. That's weird looking. Let's try banktracker.com. Hopefully they didn't get rid of it. I bet that's not it. I tell you what, guys, where can I find Bank Tracker? I'll find it and I'll make sure we send out an email. How about that? What I'm getting at is Bank Tracker is a great way to check out a bank in your area. Check out their financials, okay? And you can get the history on the bank and everything. This is going to drive me absolutely batty. I used to have this saved as a favorite, and my taskbar is just not finding it. Bank Tracker, let's just cut that off and try that again. Oh, here it is. I found it. banktracker.investigativereportingworkshop.org. So let me copy that into the chat box. Oops. Chat to. Okay, there it is. And if you look here, guys, we'll do a quick little demo on this. Let's type in, oh, let's see here. I want to go, so you can look at banks, credit unions, failed banks. So let's just look at the big picture. Right now, there are $10.7 trillion outstanding in mortgages, loans, credit cards, et cetera, et cetera. 96.4 billion, okay, are 90 days past due. So overall, that's a rating of 6, okay? 2 years ago, that would have been like 2, maybe 3. So you can see where we're going with this. I think this year, you're going to start to see more foreclosures hitting the market. Just my opinion. I think next year, you're going to see a lot more. When this thing hits 10%, it's going to be Christmas time for investors, okay? But just to put things in perspective, in the last recession, what would you say was at the peak, the percentage of loans that were in trouble? Just take a guess. Somebody shout out what you think it is. No takers?
15?
30%.
Yeah.
It was Depression era type numbers. But what happened is the Obama administration started printing money like it was toilet paper and bailed it out. In fact, he did something very smart. He required the healthy banks to overtake the unhealthy banks. Now you might be saying, why is that smart? Because in crisis mode, you do whatever you got to do to get the ship to shore. And we were in crisis mode, and I was in banking, all right? And I'm not a big government person. I don't like big government. I don't, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. I'd like for them to stay out of my life. But when we're in crisis mode, the government does what it has to do, just like right now with the giving money for small businesses and things like that they don't have to pay back. That's a big deal, right? So at the time, that was a smart thing to do. It saved the country is what it did. So in any case, let's look at a couple banks here. So Susan, what would be a Let me find the, whoops, hang on one second. I gotta find the bar to type it in.
Capital City.
No, what we gotta do is small local community bank,
Capital City is Tallahassee.
okay? Whoops. Capital City. Now let's just scroll down and see if it finds it. There you go. Okay. So let's click on that bank and get the scoop on it. It's not giving us the whole chart. Okay. So they got $3.5 billion in assets. They made some pretty good money. And they got a troubled asset ratio of only 2%. So they're not too bad off. Their troubled asset ratio is only 2%. So what that means is they've got plenty. What they have, there's a category called loan loss reserves. All right. Loan loss reserves is another capital bucket, but it's a capital bucket they can't touch. Like this assets right here, there's going to be a lot of capital in there. Some of it is I shouldn't say expendable. Some of it's eligible to be used for lots of purposes, but anything that goes in the troubled asset bucket, they can't touch. They would go to jail if they touch it. Okay, but that's what's used to cover bad loans. So what this is, sorry, what's that?
So troubled asset bucket is covering bad loans?
Correct. So when this says troubled asset ratio, it means only 2% of their total assets is at risk. Okay, in terms of loans, it's not a big deal. If it was 10%, that'd be a big deal. Okay. Now the fact that it has a troubled asset ratio tells me they've got loans in trouble. I would approach this bank. I would still approach them, go in and visit them, and say, "Hey, I'm Gary Wilson. I'm a realtor in the area, and I've got clients looking to buy properties just like yours. All right." And they might say, "What are you talking about? Don't use the term foreclosure. If they do, use the term troubled asset, or use say non-perform. I'm talking about your non-performing assets, which is an oxymoron because if it's not performing, it's not an asset. It's a liability." And it typically will say, "Well, I don't do that. So-and-so does that. They're in the branch over on Main Street, which is maybe the headquarters branch." And get a name and a number and an email address and ask for introduction. You want to get, the who, what, where, when, how information. Who is it? Where are they? How do you contact them? What's their contact information? When's the best time to contact them? And now you got a warm introduction and you can go and speak. Usually it's going to be an attorney, right, on the board who handles our foreclosures. But there's a whole campaign behind this in the silver level membership area, working with banks. All that's in there, scripting and everything. But I generally like to go for the banks that have something greater than between 5 and 10%. I know I can go in there and get a deal, so, or get a listing, So that's one of my old time favorite tools right there, by the way. They keep changing it, but it still works. So, okay. Everybody okay? Anything more? Because if you guys are okay, I'll go ahead and chime off here. Wednesday night, we have the kickoff for property management. Next Monday night for the global investor agents, anybody on my team, next Monday night, the 14th, I'm sorry. Wednesday, the 13th, we get together. I'm sorry. So Wednesday, the 13th, we get together for the global investor agent team. If you want to be a guest on that, Greg's been a guest on it before. You're certainly welcome. On Tuesday the 12th, we have a guy named Noah Brandy on, who's going to talk about ACN. Real good product. If you're working with investors and they have tenants, you want to pay attention. That's a great way to pick up some residual income. But that's the schedule, guys. Other than that, I will see you either Wednesday night or next Tuesday, and for the global investor agent guys next Wednesday. If anybody needs to get a hold of me, you've got my phone number here. I'll just type it in the chat box real quick.
Hey, Gary.
Yep.
Real quick, those last three you gave, educate yourself. You said have something right. I missed number 2.
Oh, it's right education plus right information plus right action equals right results. Yep. So It's where most people mess up, Greg, is in the beginning they don't know what they're doing, which is education, and or they don't take time to get the information. Data is absolutely critical. And I'm living proof. I didn't used to think of it that way. To me, it was too much of a nuisance to spend time doing that. I wanted to get out there and get the deal done. Well, guess what? I made mistakes. The information is absolutely vital, but the biggest place I see people making mistakes is execution. They forget the information. They forget their education. They get hasty, get caught up in the multiple offer scenario, and start making offers they shouldn't be making. Or being too hasty and not doing due diligence. You gotta get the rent rolls, profit loss for 3 years, and the Schedule E for 3 years every single time. I even get that stuff ahead of time. I don't even wait for it. I ask for it way up front. By the way, here's a good question for you. What would that tell me about somebody if even before I made an offer, I'm telling them I need to see rent roll, profit loss, and Schedule E for 3 years, no matter what, and they give it to me? What would that tell me about that person?
They're telling me that person is experienced and educated in what he's doing.
Yeah, and they're going to be easy to work with.
Yep.
Yep.
Because they're knowledgeable. So,
yeah. In fact, David and I were talking about this earlier. It drove me crazy working with people that just they didn't care, they didn't have the data. I'm like, how can you sell this thing? You don't even know what it is you're selling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it made things a lot easier.
The problem we have in this market right now, though, Gary, is just time, because there's so many people that are not doing that, but they're making offers and they're not educating themselves or doing the homework to make sure that they're making a good, educated offer or decision, making a good decision on the purchase. So what I'm finding investors are doing is like, I'm telling them, hey, your after repair value is this, and your maximum offer price is this, but then you're like, I'm gonna offer more than that because I want to get the property. I got competition, So.
Yep. Well, what we do, Greg, is we use other techniques to get inventory, so we don't rely on the MLS.
Yeah.
And LoopNet and CoStar and all that. So it's hard work. I mean, I'll tell you, it is. And it's the thing is, just like the old saying, if it was easy, everybody would do it, but it's not. And sometimes you literally just got to put on your work boots and roll up your sleeves. And I mean, again, David and I were talking about this earlier. I had another call with Alyssa earlier too, about doing grassroots efforts, literally getting out there, literally driving around looking for rent signs. And we call sign capture. Take a picture of the sign, write down the address, go back and call the owner and pitch them. Say, look, I'm calling about your property. Do you got other properties? And they'll say, yeah, where are you looking to rent? And I say, well, actually, I'm an investor and I work with investors and we can't find anything for sale. Have you ever considered, or would you consider selling if the price was right? It's direct contact, and it's what works in today's market. Everything else, Facebook, LinkedIn, even letters do not work as well. Letters right now, in normal times, we would send out 25 letters and get 3 phone calls. Right now, we're sending out 300 letters to get 4 phone calls. You see the difference? Yep. And it's the same thing everywhere. So what I tell people is all the mass marketing, all their traditional marketing, and that includes social media too, is not providing the results that it historically has. It's had nothing to do with you or the marketing. It has to do with the market itself.
Yeah.
You've got a big gap between supply and demand. You've got to resort to traditional old school methods because they always work. It's the closer you can get to the person, the more likely you're going to get a response and a conversion, right? And it's a hard pill to swallow because it means you gotta get out in your car and go drive around.
Yeah.
Or you gotta go walk around and talk to people and meet people. But I'm telling you, I'm not saying I'm a genius. I'm just saying in 35 years, in now 5 market cycles, what I just described there has been true every single time. Without fail,
Yep.
Yep.
Get back to the basics.
That's it. Just like Michael Jordan, right?
Yep.
Practice the fundamentals, and it's not like you. In good times, you don't drop those things and then do social media. You just add social media on top of it for your branding. You do social media.
Exactly. Right.
So, okay, guys, I'm getting pretty dried out here.
All right, Gary. Thanks.
But appreciate your participation, guys. I really appreciate you asking questions and engaging too. This is a lot more challenging doing this online than it is in person, I can tell you that. And so you guys participating helps me a lot, and I appreciate it. So set up your calls with me, guys. Bill, set up a call. Let's make some progress, you know? All right, guys. I'm going to turn off the recording.